I'm surprised there hasn't been another Amendment Madness like it was during the second legislative session, which we all know was a disaster. Like, after the Haldir v. China, there's like a whole list. And like the first legislative session, there's like a whole list of amendments doing the same exact thing that Real tried to do and all that stuff. And try to implement a supremacy clause into the Constitution. Stuff like that. I'm surprised they haven't done another Amendment Madness.
Honestly,
I still think that was the right choice.
Honestly, suspend the Constitution, put in a military junta, then nobody can vote and nobody can fucking...
Oh, I definitely agree with that one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's just put West in charge and declare Mark 4 dead and start Mark 5.
I just thought the other day that we could establish an Inquisition emergency law where basically you just get a council of 5 and then ban everybody that doesn't agree with the majority opinion.
I like this guy.
Go
on. Me and Charlie, back when we actually had faith in the legislative process, were joking about how...
that was a long time ago.
We're joking about how we could create a fascist government as soon as possible. And one of the idea that came out of that was, what we do is that we pass a law stating that Das is supreme leader, and that he can only give orders through emojis. And that
I would like you to pick another name, because Supreme's kind of already taken.
Okay, King. Make him King or something.
God
like
King. God Emperor.
God Emperor Das.
I like that.
And like he can only make orders through emojis, and if those orders if he hasn't put out new orders within 12 hours, he automatically abdicates the throne and the position is dissolved.
So literally it would just be Das sending emojis like multiple times a day.
Except we have to follow what he says.
Yeah, no, I can swing with that. If we ever get in a position, in a bad spot, that's what Rome did.
Fuck yeah!
I thought you meant Mark III Rome for a second.
No, real Rome.
Shit, we basically did that anyways.
Oh yeah, how did that end? By the way, did we die?
It ended with me being president like 4 times in a row.
But did we die?
Ottomans invaded us, and our tech wasn't good enough to really do anything.
So what happened?
We fended them off, but we were like the Celts were like we had like riflemen, they had tanks. Our neighbor.
Right. So we just gave up.
We gave up.
I see.
Didn't Mark III just like die?
Yeah.
We killed it officially.
Yeah.
We didn't kill it. You put it out of its misery.
We passed a bill that said Mark III is dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that bill on the subway. I didn't want to join.
So people crucified me and Utrecht for declaring that the game was dead, and then basically as soon as we left, you did it.
That's because Utrecht's a prick about it. But I mean,
I don't care whether Utrecht was a prick about it or not. He had the right idea, and I agreed with him, so I did it as well.
And then he was also
crucify me.
Utrecht is totally like the diversive, like super right-wing person sometimes, or at least kind of. He's like in the game. Also, people from other demo games aren't real people.
What?
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
Towards Mark III, he was like, anyone who's also in other demo games shouldn't be able to participate because they're like unloyal.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in Demo Hearts of Iron 4? Screw you.
Sorry, you don't get to vote.
Sorry.
That's voter fraud. You're 2 citizens at once.
Oh shit! No, he's right. You're 2 citizens at once.
It's fucking amazing.
God. Like, I remember, like, one of the comments saying, hey, you should be careful. Like, there are people in here that want to ban people from other demo games. And I didn't believe that. I thought it was just some fear-mongering or something like that. But I never...
I saw that too. I'm a member of Demo EU4.
I basically lurked...
I believe you call it... Isn't it Democracia Universalis?
I hate that name.
I only
the reasons I don't play anymore. I just kind of left one day.
I don't know. I'm playing EU4 right now, but I would never join it.
as I was a minister, I liked it. Then.
It doesn't really suit itself to a demo game. It's not turn-based.
No, Civ suits itself. Like
Civ is really good.
I'd imagine something like XCOM would suit itself.
Well, I mean, like,
but XCOM would become like Twitch plays
Democratic-
XCOM.
Yeah.
Bureaucratic Twitch plays XCOM. That's what it would really become.
like watch a
I see
democracy
no
of
problem
people.
with this.
An entire democracy of people commands a secret task force to get aliens.
The legislator has voted 4 out of 5 to put Johnny John Johns into Overwatch.
I mean, is there any other turn games that might work as demo
Settlers
games?
of Catan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The legislature has voted overwhelmingly to trade wood for sheep.
Yeah, we should all play Catan. Get some tabletop going.
Is that on Tabletop Sim?
Yeah.
Everything's on tabletop sim.
I really have to buy that game.
It is. It's worth it. You just
It
have to
is
play
worth
some
it.
games.
If
I
you
use
have
Roll20
friends,
for everything,
if you have friends,
usually.
it's worth it.
I've wanted to do D&D in it, but
I could.
I don't know any groups
I'm
that
not a
do it.
massive fan of D&D. I gotta be honest. I
I almost bought it, but then yeah.
I
goes
played
on
chess
sale
with someone with it
more
once,
regularly.
but, quite a few times, but I don't know. I mean, there's basically everything you could ever fucking imagine on there. Like, I remember playing Texas Hold'em poker with like 4 people from 4 different continents. That was good.
Jeez.
that's the greatest.
Yeah.
It was like a guy from America, a guy from, I believe, Brazil, a guy from Australia, and a guy from Japan.
You know, I've wanted to get that game almost solely because there's like SecretHitler.io is okay,
Yeah,
but it like
mediocre.
but I would
It
way
is-
prefer to play it on
it is-
tabletop
It is.
Yeah,
like,
it's great on
noticeably
there.
better for no reason.
because I play it IRL and it's just amazing. So
yeah, I have played it too IRL. It's like the best game to play IRL, to be honest.
it's a great party game.
Yeah.
You know,
Also
when you
part-
get. I'm just thinking about last time we played Secret Hitler.
Uh,
In the Doubt game night, where I was Hitler or fascist like 6 games in a row, and I kept winning.
Oh, do you remember when it was me and you as the fascists against everybody else? When and we
Yeah,
managed to
always
convince
good.
them all that it was everybody else. And then we were like,
It is the best.
yeah, it was us. Fuck you.
I also remember the Dell game night that we all thought Charlie was because he joined the game. We all thought Charlie was a fascist because he was saying nothing, and for like all game he was like screaming out saying, "You are idiots! These guys are fascists!" And then like once he goes silent, like we got worried that he actually became a fascist, and turned out he was a liberal.
The great thing was I was fascist again that game. So the first thing I did, Charlie made me his chancellor. He was first president, and I lied and I passed a fascist. He gave me like a liberal and a fascist. But I lied about it, and I said he gave me 2 fascists. He's lying. He's a fascist. And then he wasn't talking, so he didn't defend himself. So everyone just thought he was fascist.
Oh yeah, that was a fun game. What's the next game night? Honestly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do it today. We plan on doing Friday, but we have a session tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a session tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we thought
Yeah.
our current should be up,
Action.
but it doesn't matter.
Nope.
I'd love to be on
Wait,
the ministry
it's
once.
tomorrow? I thought
I
it
just
was
don't think I'd
Friday.
be elected.
Tomorrow is Friday.
Tomorrow is
Hey,
Friday.
dude, if I can get elected, anyone can.
Yeah, well, we got
Yeah.
elected at the same time, pretty much.
Please write me
I
in.
have work today.
Please just write my name in.
Oh crap! Sorry.
Let's shake things up here.
No, but seriously, Wes, which one do you think is the safer seat? Fruity, yours, or Bears, or Minister, or Joe's?
I'd say Bears.
Bears.
Yeah, my seat's pretty good.
Bears
Yeah,
is pretty
Bears.
safe.
Yeah.
Bears
Anyway.
an entire party voting for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yeah, an
So
entire
it's fruity.
big party. Anyway,
I think
guys,
I think the least safe would probably be Joe's, maybe. But even then, like,
Joe admitted that his seat was unsafe because he won out of luck.
Anyway, guys, I'm
he ran out of
off
looks in all
now.
those cases.
All right. So
Alright, see you.
thanks for having
People.
me. Goodbye.
Hi.
I don't know. I feel like Fruity Tree is a shot at being elected.
I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
how
sure.
active their party is. 'Cause,
I
like,
think Fruity's got a good place.
they have a
He could.
pretty,
You've got the entire party voting for him.
Yeah.
they're like the smallest of the major parties at this point.
They are
But,
small,
like-
but they have party backing.
From who though?
IFP, which is 15 members.
Well, just IFP though. Like LNU already, they said like they'll follow Dow. That's
Well, they're like Bear and Wes are guaranteed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like those seats are done, but then Espresso's
I
retiring.
feel like it's less.
Yeah, who?
I mean, it
running from
depends.
the Celestial?
If they replace Espresso with someone competent and who hasn't made a big storm, just like a regular person, they'll do fine.
Well, Charlie's the.
Sure.
Charlie's second. Charlie's
Oh, he's
running
second.
for
Who's
minister.
first?
Let me check.
From Minister?
Who's
Charlie's
first for
running-
minister?
I know
Yeah.
Charlie was second for minister. Quavador, and then I'll just type in the chat for whoever can actually pronounce this.
Oh, okay.
Querindo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Correndo. Yeah, that guy.
I mean,
It's
I'm
this
sure
guy.
he'll get Celestial support no matter.
Yeah. Well, Celestial support is another almost guaranteed.
Mm.
But still, that's 2 seats. I think Fruity's got a spot. I think we've secured that.
You might see Joe replaced with Ken Lane. I think that's maybe the most likely scenario.
That was our prediction.
If Ken Lane takes a lot of independent votes, I think that's going to affect mostly IFP.
You
I
also
don't
have to
necessarily.
remember.
Yeah.
But
You
like,
have to-
yeah, I think it's got enough backing on its own and enough like
I don't know.
second ranking.
So
I don't really see Ken Lane getting independent votes, though.
I don't think
Here's
any
also-
independent can get enough votes. I think only parties have a chance.
The thing is that
a good thing about being an independent is people who like actually go and get the independent role, they're either still looking, which doesn't take long, or they want to be an independent, like as a thing. Like they specifically don't want to be part of any party, so they'll vote for other independents. I've seen that kind of trend in the past.
Then that's important.
So here's My Name is Immaterial, giving the independent perspective, which is
I'm voting for.
Wow. Okay. All right. Immaterial.
You write for their
material,
paper
by the way.
material. I'm not surprised.
Well, that's true. But still, that's like one. There's one of the like. There's like 3 or 4 vocal independents, right? There's one of them done.
Yeah.
So the most Ken can get is like 2 other vocal independents, and he does write for himself.
It's really the lurker vote right now.
And by the way, your paper was really good this week in material. Just gonna put that out there, or whatever it was. I read it the other day.
The economic one.
Yeah, I liked that.
There's also our unions running our own candidate again, and it's not like we announced this last minute, like the day before the election.
Here you run on
Like-
Joe.
Yeah, we're running Joe. He won the primary. He almost dropped out on us, but thankfully he didn't. So we're running Joe.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Almost every party except one, the Celestials, are only running one executive candidate.
I think right now no one has a very big majority at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's around 20.
anyone can win 2 seats. No one's that powerful.
I think it's very statistically improbable, nearly impossible, based on the
thing
opinion
is,
factor.
the only coalition right now is really PU and Dow. Like no other like big ones exist that are so close. So like a PU and Dow minister is as good as a party having 2 ministers. it's
Also,
not
I think
exactly the
Celestials
same,
are
but-
splitting up their ministries. Celestials are splitting up the ministry vote to 2 people, Charlie and Quando.
Wait, Charlie is running for minister?
Charlie is running, yes.
So is
okay.
that like they will elect Quando first, right? And then Charlie would
Yeah,
get the second.
Quando
seat
is the
if
first
possible.
vote, Charlie's the second vote.
Okay. I don't know. I think that's
how
kind
they're
of
gonna-
handicapping them.
Yeah, no, that's shooting themselves in the foot. Like, if it was like...
Yeah, because once all of Quaderno's votes go to him, he's probably gonna get a seat early. If we look at like Espresso, he got the first seat by far. Like, then
No, but the
Charlie
thing
doesn't
is-
have too many votes, so he needs to pick up from like other people who go out early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if Ken votes go a lot to Charlie, then you'll have a good time. But if they go a lot to someone like Joe, where it, like pretty much gets him over there, then it's gonna.
Yeah, I see the executive as more of a toss-up this time around, because all the major parties have their candidate, plus there's an independent candidates, and minor parties have candidates also.
Minor parties
minor
have consecutive candidates. Let me check.
What minor parties are on?
Nuke.
Are they running? Nuke starting a can? Wow.
I'm totally voting for him.
Well, they get points for having balls.
Oh wait, no, Nuke. No, never mind. They're just running leg.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're not running a
I was gonna
ministry.
say because they got a good base over there. They just need more members before they really.
Yeah, they're just trying for leg at this point. Let me see any other party. Nope, it's just the majors. At this
Okay.
point, it's just the majors. Hmm.
The majors in Kenland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's his own major.
No, he's not.
His
He's
own.
a casino owner.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I wouldn't discount him because, like, I don't know, from a fresh perspective, like, obviously, like, I'm gonna use my vote for Fruity because he agrees with my platform and I like Fruity.
If I had to guess who, like, Dominator and Pig are gonna vote for, those type of people, it would probably be Ken.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just minor.
I mean, Dom has been popping in and out lately, but no one takes him seriously, and Pig left the server entirely, so...
Well, Kenline seemed to change his tune from any kind of, like,
Yeah,
nihilistic
like-
standpoint.
I mean, I think Ken was only in there for the memes. I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest. He was there for
I
the
mean,
memes.
It was
Because
just a meme.
he's more progressive than most of the,
Former bad memories. They have, I think,
yeah.
Dominant's
Still
doing
wants
his own
he
thing.
still wants that picture book, and I'm supporting that one.
The picture book constitution.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I'd
That's
do that.
like the only good idea Bad had.
That's the only
Okay.
idea they had. What else did they do?
Apart from nuking all of our cities.
Didn't Bad write the Constitution, though?
Yeah, but
Okay,
Pig
well,
wrote
Pig
the
did, but Bad didn't exist, and like
at the time, so you could make the argument that Bad ran.
The thing I found weird in the Constitution, the Constitution constitutionally defines Pig as the author of the Constitution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So like,
which we forgot to remove.
Go between.
hopefully never is used in anything, but
Thankfully not. I think it's used for amendments. That
I mean,
Pig's the
okay,
only
so-
one.
that's what it is.
Yeah, so I've
Yeah.
looked at that. Right? I've looked at the Constitution. And in some way, isn't the fact that it was written by a lot of the people that are no longer active, and if they're active,
It's pretty much
they're
just
very nihilistic and anti-game, then, like, isn't there something very fundamentally wrong with that Constitution?
they weren't.
Yeah.
The entire bad thing didn't happen until like a week or two after the Constitution.
The Constitution
was
got
signed.
ratified.
It wasn't
Okay.
written with that in mind at all.
It was a
Okay.
response to the Constitutional Convention, all that stuff, right? Then, like, how they saw the game going.
So Pig at that point was still a
He's just a regular person.
yeah.
He wasn't screw the game yet. He still wanted to fix the game, and his vision was and that vision was make it fun for me, and I like chaos, so let's make this constitution as weak as possible, so we have chaos.
It's not.
Well, no. That was like that's Charlie's thing. No.
That's Charlie's stupid reading of it.
Yeah, that's the Charlie vision. What he wrote it because he hated the Mark III Constitution, which was 40 pages of legislative garbage. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a lot of garbage in it. I think we went a bit overboard in some spaces, but
yeah, like I understand why you wanted a simple constitution. Like I understand that. But also, Espresso thinks the Constitution Convention was a conspiracy against Democraciv as a whole, which I 100% am against. That's just a conspiracy theory. Like, he told me that...
Just because it's a conspiracy theory doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, no.
Look, if those steel beams were still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's very interesting what happened to Bad. Do you think the history of Bad will be way more different, the political dynamic?
I don't think it has mattered. Or will matter. I don't think it's...
It's more of the fear of Bad than Bad having any influence.
I don't know how anyone was ever afraid of Bad, because like they were always a meme. They weren't.
Was it the fear of the entity of what Bad was, of like what Bad represented?
Yeah, it was more of that than Bad Party itself, because Bad was a meme. There always been a meme, but some heads of some major parties, cough cough, Charlie, cough cough, were worried that Bad might actually get some influence.
Yeah, well, Charlie,
I was worried about that
wrong a lot of times.
I think there's definitely still. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, but I think the sentiment behind it, if it was bitterness or if it was a desire to just see the game fail, I think that still exists.
It was a meme.
I mean, like every single member of Bad had their own reason of joining. About half the party was, this is a meme party, I want to have some fun. Well, Pig and Dominant saw this as their grand vision of fixing Democraciv by making a party that wants to destroy Democraciv to show how good the community is.
But then even Dom, he still had the meminess to it. Because he was like, the election was rigged, we won nothing.
Bad news.
Like, obviously...
Yeah, Dom knew it was going to be a meme party. I think it was Pig who thought it was going to be a serious political force, and Uthred and Sean Box.
I think Uthred just wanted to be mad at something.
You guys. How would the history of Bad have changed if they had gotten that one legislative seat?
I think maybe they stay a bit longer. You know, that one legislator... I don't know who was first on.
Well, it sounds like by the nature of what they were, they had to get bored at some point because they weren't.
Yeah, that's true.
Like active participation was never a part of what they were.
They still get to shake their fists and yell at the sky, you know.
But even in their one vote.
But like one vote is so much more.
Number one.
They were one vote, but they were one vote that everybody. Most people didn't see as positive, right? So, I mean, obviously there's partisanship, but, like, do you want to take the bad vote?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Interestingly, if Bad had gotten that one seat, Sean Box wouldn't have become a Supreme Court justice, so he'd have had to find a different person.
He could have.
I mean, legally,
he wouldn't have, though.
But I don't. Yeah,
legally he could have, but most likely he was not going to get nominated.
Sean Box was the neutral, no party vote because I don't. Party.
Because he got nominated after Bad collapsed.
I think he was like when he tried to make a party or something.
Yeah, he tried to make his
PU now, right?
I do not know what he's done.
Wait, let me check.
In the Discord, he's a progressive.
He is a progressive. I did not even know he was a progressive.
A few days ago.
Because
he's progressive.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. Nope. I think his party merged with House's party, and they tried to reform bad.
No, they merged with People's Union.
They formed None.
Yeah, they formed None, and then that collapsed.
Yeah, the court has been good at not being partisan at all.
Yeah, I applaud the court for that.
I don't find anyone fought against the court more than me. They've been a pretty good court.
Yeah. No, they've been a good court. I think the only issue that has existed with the court is what they have to work with. Because at the end of the day, very few people are going to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, especially the last couple cases, they have pretty much, like, it's been trying to get that vote overturned, that referendum overturned.
Yeah. Well, like, it's this idea that we expect something to be there, right? We expect something to be in the Constitution, or something to have, like, a law in the book.
But it doesn't exist.
But it doesn't. Because a lot of the laws we've had to make are things that should have been in the Constitution. Like, proxy laws, that's a Constitution thing.
It's a thing that's like, this is a basic thing we need to get done. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the Constitution. We want to be able to edit it. We want to be able to, change the minutia.
Yeah. No, but with, like, the proxy law, the issue with the proxy law thing, right, was, like, there were no procedures. There were no procedures, and that is something that was almost necessary for the legislature to function in its state. And that's what sucked.
So, the system we have for the legislature shouldn't require proxies. The only reason the proxy happened was because he needed to rush the vote.
Yeah. The system was set up such that proxies wasn't necessary. Well,
because you have, like, up to 48 hours.
Yeah, 2 days to vote, so if he could have voted tomorrow, we could avoid this entire situation.
He was active the same day.
Yeah, that was the issue. And inevitably, the other aspect of that issue is... God, I just lost my train of thought.
I think Masenko's coming on.
Oh,
hey,
there he is.
Masenko. Hello, Justice Masenko.
Hi, hello.
Yeah. You say you want to add something about the court?
Just talking about the court, so I figured,
Yeah.
On the court, if you guys want to keep talking about it.
God, yeah. What was my? I was trying to say the issue that came down with the proxy vote is that if Charlie hadn't done that and if no lawsuits had been filed, like, we would have been fine.
Yeah,
we would have been fine.
Yeah.
The legislative motion to suggest
overturning that vote anyway. I've heard that they saw it as a recommendation vote.
It was a recommendation. Literally, it was passed.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Charlie tries to rush the vote. He wanted DOS out. He wanted tradition. And he also wanted his bill. The only bill that actually passed the second legislative session was the game setup bill, which was an actual bill. The other two had no physical bill written about them. So technically, the ministry could have ignored it.
No, the other two things. What were the other two things? It was
DOS impeachment, which
isn't something the ministry does.
Yeah.
Yeah, DOS should not be impeached. He didn't do any crime
against the state.
There were no state crimes.
There's no state crimes.
So the thing about DOS, you see him do that, and you're like, we don't want that guy on our court, but then he's not like that anymore. He just stops doing that.
Yeah, that was the thing. Literally, the first 2 days I was here, he made the biggest stink I'd ever seen.
It's like, I don't want that on the court, but then now
I've legitimately enjoyed talking to him since then.
So DOS is a good guy for the most part. He has his moments, obviously, where he gets very frustrated and blows up at people, but for the most part, he's all right. He's an all right guy. I've never really.
Well, that's why I don't think it was an impeachment issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's someone who
it's not. It wouldn't. If he had been impeached, I'm like, well, okay, he did make death threats and shit. It was horrible. We don't really want that kind of thing on our court.
And coming from
I'm not mad that he's not impeached either.
Perspective of the person who was the target of his death threats, I think that it's a difficult matter to speak on, at least personally. I think deep down inside, I really wanted him to not be part of this anymore, just because of how personally attacked I felt about it.
He does know how to personally attack
ultimately,
people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I respect the moderation team a lot, and I respect whatever decisions they make, whether that was the right decision or not, as not something for me to really say. And the instant we start questioning the mods on those decisions that they make is the instant we kind of default back to Mark II, where we get a whole lot of distrust for the mods, and it's sort of
great so
and
far.
the next thing we know, we have moderation elections.
Oh no,
That's never good.
We had those
obviously,
once,
no.
and I think Pig won somehow, right?
Oh God.
You don't want a popular person being mod. You want a person who's competent, and that's never.
Well, no, all the candidates are competent, and they're being judged off their competency.
Yeah.
But like, if you're a mod, you
Democraciv-
shouldn't like.
Go ahead.
You shouldn't like accept your position from people. It feels wrong.
Yeah,
It's
I
like-
think that during the Constitutional Convention, Article 0 outlined like how moderation is supposed to act, and basically limited them to like community actions and maintaining the server. That was it. They couldn't be. Oh,
Yeah.
they were allowed to
I
run for
don't-
government, man, or something like that.
I think we should legislate them to force them to give us an executive ministry private channel and a legislative private channel.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's say private channel would be amazing, dude.
It would be pretty good.
We would
It
get
would
to
be
store
pretty
all
good.
of the documents that we need to store in private, like our safe
Yeah, and we could also do like voting. I always wanted to do like straw polls for like multiple candidates, and like for speaker elections, because we're doing approval voting, and like in straw polls you could do like multiple check. You could vote for multiple people, and you could restrict it to IP, so you have one vote per person.
And like the weird thing about it, the judiciary gets a private channel. Why do they need a private channel if we don't get a private channel?
Yeah.
Each of the branches should have a private channel.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
the issue.
I
I think
like
the
the
issue
open,
with private
but
channels.
there are some things that we need a private channel for.
I actually don't think the legislature should have a private channel. I don't like that idea.
I agree. If a legislature has, the thing about the ministry and the legislature is you guys are both accountable to the public. You were both elected by the public. When it comes to the Supreme Court, we have a lot of deliberations to do that don't because these are things that are very, very contested issues. And not to say that the legislature and ministry don't deal with contested issues, but this is just a lot of what the court does is a matter of there's a lot of personal stake invested into the issues.
You're trying to hide
My
your
name is
voters.
immaterial is weighing in.
But it's important that the court is able to hash it out amongst themselves before presenting a coherent and logical argument that we can present to the community and feel confident about, rather than you guys nitpicking certain arguments from our chat.
The same can go for ministry. We have to make decisions, we have to make votes, and we need to come on a consensus for things. If we do it in public,
I think that
seem like this goes right away. And then also,
I think that applies. Yeah.
Convenience for things like storing, like polls. I had to PM everyone the spreadsheet so no one would have it. Holding the game safe. We have like a Google Doc we have circulating on every minister, and like that's just really convenient.
For the ministry, it makes sense because you have to give cohesive reasoning at different points, right? Like when you veto something, it is constitutionally required that you tell us why.
We can
And
all
so-
have different reasons, to be fair. But
Yes, but I want to see your final reason. I don't want to see like the 4 different reasons that you had to talk about first.
And you see with the court, the private channels encourage people to use the private channels over the regular channels.
The court does not use the public channel.
Don't use the public channel whatsoever, except to announce stuff. Which is, personally, I think that's kind of a problem. But when it comes to deliberation, I think privacy is important. But when it comes to the ministry, it's really important that the public is able to see those conversations, because the ministry is elected, whereas the court isn't, and the public being able to see what the ministry is doing and what the legislature is doing. In order to make an informed decision about whether or not they should have the ministers there in the first place is something that I think should be very accessible.
I, as someone who appoint the Supreme Court, and same with the legislators here, I would like to see what's happening behind those doors. I would like to see what kind of stuff happens, because that can influence my decision on you guys. Like,
that could.
You're still elected by the people, just with one extra step.
With the court, though, deliberations are private. Deliberations are always private in any court matter that has ever existed. Like, if you're a jury, you deliberate in private. If you're a judge, you deliberate in private. Like, I feel like there should maybe be some more public statements in the court channel, but besides that, there's really not a reason for them to show anybody, because then you start appointing judges on a political basis. Which, while it is a thing, it should not be a thing.
The votes, I feel like I'd have stronger opinions on the justices. I don't like the court, but I'll vote to renominate them all because, they've done a fair job.
Mm-hmm.
Deliberations, I might be tempted to say, well, here they were, this person was in favor of ruling in favor of me, and I don't know. I would be tempted to another candidate.
But I think we need to keep that out of the judicial process, right? The judicial process is objective, whereas ministry and
the agreement that the Supreme Court private channel is all right.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's all right.
Also, when the executives get a private channel, we get to scheme against the legislators more, and that's half of the reason I run for this job. Scheme against legislators.
Oh,
I should have known.
Except for
why
you,
can't we have a private channel so we can scheme against the ministry?
Well, you should. It's just a lot more.
No,
I don't know. As soon as you're in a ministry with someone, so many political walls go down. You just.
I mean, there's nothing stopping anybody from making a separate server and just inviting their
It's
whole.
just extremely inconvenient.
That's really annoying to do. I know how to set up a server, but that's kind of shady.
I just don't.
When you get to
lie.
I'd like to know why the moderation is against it, because I don't feel like the moderation should be able to just say, "Oh, you don't get a channel because we don't want to." I've asked multiple times. I don't even think they've responded.
I think we here are outlining pretty decent reasoning that could be officially provided, though.
Yeah.
If you would, I'm not going to suggest that you sue over this because it doesn't necessarily pertain to the court or the Constitution, but some kind of lawsuit-like process of stating a grievance. I think you could get an official statement.
I'll file a strongly worded letter.
Exactly, an open letter.
I mean, privacy can also be, in case there's discussions in the private channels, we have the POG to help out with that. Will the POG help out or no?
What is POG?
The POG is more for public image. Public image and general communication.
Yeah.
Sure. Public outreach.
It's a fluff role that makes your jobs easier because you don't have to communicate as effectively to the public.
Oh, we should give them the Twitter account. We have a Twitter account.
That's actually a good idea.
That's actually a good idea. Also, I heard they're planning to revive DNN.
Oh, I remember that.
Was that a thing?
We have some solid press going on already. I would really like more video shows.
Newspapers and 2 or 3 radio shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see a newspaper with multiple parties, multiple parties actively participating, though.
My hope
I hope that forms.
I'm fine with the party paper thing because it gives every party's opinion or everybody's opinion on. The
I
thing.
definitely like it for that reason.
Instead of
but I'd like to see one.
This is what the general consensus on this one is.
My name is Immaterials paper, which is nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Yeah, officially. Oh wait, no. The Internationalist Review. It says at the bottom. That's nonpartisan, right?
Party says it's nonpartisan, and the International Review is. Anyone can write for it. My name is in materials written for it. You know, if
Yeah.
RB wants to write a piece on
Let's let him do it.
just no one's asked except for my name is in materials. So
Yeah.
hence it's the de facto IFP.
I think in the future we'll see more people writing for more papers.
Well, yeah, I think we have a good solid press right now. But I was hoping like the POG will maybe form like a newspaper of their own, specifically just saying for government activists.
Also, what are our images for the Gentry of investigation?
No candidates so far. I've been begging Wes to get me a candidate.
You're
so long.
asking for like 9 million candidates.
We're only asking for one, okay?
Yeah, but then also the
Also-
triumvirate and everything fucking else. You want to?
No, the triumph is not us. We just want the GI, okay?
We already know who's going to be on the triumvirate.
Do we?
It's already it's pretty established.
I mean,
Unless there's huge opposition to Salas and Masenko.
Masenko
I don't think I'm
has
going to be on it
opposition
at this
right
point.
Really?
I think there's a sketchy legal issues of some guy in the court being the triumvirate.
Not even. I
Ooh.
mean, there's
I'd-
that.
I'd
also
have to
crowd
resign.
before him on the court.
Oh, you
to
see
the
what-
court. That can screw with the political balance.
Well,
of
then,
the
I mean,
court right
okay,
now.
we have
It's very
Salas.
strong. Salas is agreed upon right now because he doesn't have anything.
No.
He's not in any parties right now, or he is in a party, but he's not in any positions right now. So
And that's his calling.
and he's built this whole system. He's definitely in, and like
But, you know.
I mean,
Ford
when we think about
House
it, what
isn't
the-
looking good as well. It's just,
There are 8 positions in the market, so
Yeah,
I mean, like on the
I think
committee.
We're positions. We're talking about lower courts. We're talking about the church.
well, as far as the lower courts and the church, if those two get confirmed, there is immediately 6 from the lower courts, and then how many? I don't know how many are in the church bill, plus the
I don't-
8
I don't
of the
like
market bill.
Oh, Jesus
I
Christ.
haven't gone in depth on the church, but I'm not liking the church.
Actually, hold on. No, I apologize. It would be 10 rolls for the LC.
Jesus Christ.
The finance committee though only has 3 of the finance committee's positions are elected positions already, so it'd just be overlap with the same
Yeah.
people.
I think.
Yeah.
Are we going with
We gotta
2-2?
choose who we're going with.
We're going with 2-2-1, right?
Yeah.
I hope.
Actually, because the vote itself was a tie across the board.
Wasn't it a 4-4-4?
It's,
So one of the things, apparently, the legislature gets to pick the ministry's candidate. He's like, they get to pick all of the candidates for the finance committee, which that annoys me.
procedure to select the people. They can fully well allow the ministry to choose
The
their own
person who
candidate.
wants it.
Exactly, they could, but
I was going to nominate Wes, you anyway.
yeah, I think I'm the only one who's put my hat in.
Yeah, you're going to get in the committee. Anyway, we could talk about Gentry. Oh, wait, Masenko, I forgot to ask. What's your prediction about the next election?
I'm not sure. I haven't been following the candidates too closely, but I'd say it'll probably turn out similarly to the last one, where we have a lot of we have decent representation from each party. Maybe a couple upsets, but we'll see.
Because I did
don't
the
know.
math.
The people might be the big upset. Everyone's predicting it. It'll get a lot of seats. I think it might surprise us all by doing poorly.
Yeah, if it does poorly, it will surprise everyone.
Who?
But I
you
feel
the
like
people.
Okay.
that's just waiting to happen.
I think the unity of the people will do well, mostly because they have the base that they have is pretty active, and I think a lot of them actually know each other in real life.
Yeah, they do
As far
have
as I'm
like
aware.
a clique of people. Like
The old
Yeah.
Better communication than a lot of the other people who just kind of are independently part of Democraciv. So I think their voters will turn out. Whether or not they have enough voters is a question.
I
But
don't know. It really depends on how
they're
big
doing
the
well.
legislature is going to be. How many lurkers are going to be voting?
Yeah.
The list
They're
come
running.
out
20
from
people
party.
out of nowhere, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Based on like party
Yes, they
makeup
have.
and stuff like that. I did the math a few nights ago. I already said that multiple times in the stream. You probably heard that. We're looking at a 20 to 21 seat legislator. If we just go by party membership.
I think
On the Discord.
if that's the case,
Opinion polls. Unofficial opinion
I
polls.
mean that's fine. But obviously, it'll be disorganized if things stay the same as they are now.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think there's going to be the 6-6 split that we've seen quite a bit. I definitely think that's going to be broken by one side or the other.
We see a 6-6 split a lot. We saw it for the tradition vote. Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah.
It hasn't really come up that much.
Yeah, it's sort of been mostly unanimous.
Passes something, rejects it, or everyone abstains on it.
Yeah.
Well, I
6-6
think
split
part of that is
weird.
the legislative process right now is kind of crap for the most part.
Yeah,
People are just throwing bills onto the chat and maybe discussing it, and then if it's maybe discussed, they throw it out to a vote. Like, it's just not very organized. Once
if
again,
we still use the legislative subreddit, which I don't think we should use, but we do have it as an option. But you still use the legislative subreddit. It used to be you post it there, you get a sponsor, it's on the docket. That worked pretty well and wasn't too bad.
I'm actually on the tree of outreach with Ken Lane. He asked me to be part of it, so I've been working on reviving the old spreadsheet potentially that just has a legislative docket that is just comprehensive and shows all.
That will actually be nice. Like that's
Chris made
like,
a dope ass spreadsheet for us.
All correct.
oh my god, you made you made the first spreadsheet. Oh my god. Yes. Just yes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really efficient last time. It's just the issue is once I left Democraciv, nobody was updating it anymore. I don't think. Maybe they were. I could be wrong, but there's all sorts of stuff on it. There's the current elected officials. There's a page that shows all the Supreme Court rulings and votes. There's a page that shows.
You're talking the master spreadsheet.
Just government records, but what you could do is it's very easy to just use that as a legislature as the docket, just to keep track of what's proposed, when it was proposed, and then obviously the legislature can adopt procedures that bills certain statuses or time limits to when it has to be discussed in order to be put to a vote. Stuff like that is important, and I think also all of that sort of procedural stuff should fall to the cabinet to really take charge in. Obviously, a lot of if you have like a 20-person legislature, it's really hard for people to track of everything that's going on. I think the cabinet really has to pull the weight there in terms of keeping everything on track and organized and informing the rest of the legislators what's actually going on.
Next legislative session.
Yeah, we're rebuilding our cabinet.
On the last week of your terms, you're revoting on the cabinet.
No. Like the first week of the second term, we're rebuilding the cabinet.
My bad.
That's like the first thing we're doing. I might run again, just for the hell of it.
Better job than last time.
I'm not expecting to get the seat again. I don't know why I got the seat. Like, I'm like the new person on the block.
Yeah, I do not.
I do not understand
for some
how
reason you and Charlie came out with it. I guess it just had support of a lot of blocks.
Yeah. I don't understand how I became speaker.
And then Finn became your new vice speaker, right?
Technically, yes, but she's inactive and
done anything.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be a problem.
Obviously, is like pick someone who's active and knows the law well, and just.
Well, the reason why I picked Fem was because Charlie picked Fem, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna respect his decision and picked Fem. and then I realized I could choose whatever I want because I'm speaker, and just regretted my life decisions at that point. Because right after she became vice speaker, she chose proxy and left for a week, and that week's this week.
Well, who else? So
Haldir wants to do it. String wants to do it. I'm not sure who else wants. RB, do you want to do it? You want to have a shot at speaker?
No, I refuse. I veto.
Well-
I'm sorry, my sir.
I don't think
Well.
you can veto it though.
I
No.
will.
honestly, I think
We'll veto it, and we'll veto it again.
I think
I
RB
will
would be
veto
pretty
your veto.
occasionally.
Oh, shit.
RB, it will probably be the best win. I'm gonna be honest. RB will get the legislator to do stuff he wants them to do, no matter what.
Yeah, but why? He won't get
Addition.
Does the legislator have respect for RB? That's the question.
He'll just be so. I don't want.
Because
Decision?
you proved yourself, and I think people pretty much have the respect for you at this point.
Yeah.
Like RB, he's definitely been controversial,
To put it lightly.
to put it lightly.
Goes retro.
There goes retro. Well, now
Yeah,
he's back.
sorry about that. Yeah, no, sorry about that. I was being dumb. I was clicking on a text chat when I was clicking on a voice chat. I'm being dumb right now. I'm sorry. I'm just scrolling through Discord at this point. Yeah. So we went over elections. We went over speaker. Who else wants to do speaker? I know String might actually run. I know Haldir wants to run.
Who are you thinking for vice speaker?
Because
Something like that.
it might end up being me. Like, honestly,
I
because
wouldn't be
here's
surprised.
how the legislator decides who is speaker and who's vice speaker. If you won the actual elections, you get speaker. But if you came in second place, you got vice speaker. That's how we decide how.
I don't think you've actually laid that out, but I guess
No, I think it's. Is it in the procedures?
I don't believe it is.
Because I'm pulling up the procedures now.
Yeah, I think it's in the procedures. Like the guy who wins first place gets speaker, second place gets vice speaker.
If you all agree that that's how it works, then I guess it's fine. But
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't seem like something everyone would agree on.
I mean,
No,
everyone
like-
agreed on it the first time. We didn't even have procedures at that
I
point.
thought
so.
the first time, didn't you like just vote on a ticket? You vote on a combination of people. That's what I thought.
Actually, we did.
Voted for two different
You did
people,
do
and
that.
then
Because I mean, like the vice speaker could change you. What the vice speaker is could change your vote on what the speaker is. Because I want those two people to work together.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I'm responding to my name is immaterials question.
Well, the question is,
Yeah.
who do you think the ministry will appoint to the court if Masenko got on the triumvirate?
Well, let's ask Masenko. Masenko, who do you want to get on the court as your replacement?
That's a good question. Honestly, who approaches the Constitution in sort of the kind of way that I had been doing it as a suitable replacement for me and my role on the court. Because I don't know if you guys have been watching the last few cases. I mean, obviously all of you have been watching the last few cases, but I don't know if you've been watching the individual judges' behaviors throughout the last few cases. And this last case, we had a very divided court. Even among
Yeah, the first
majority.
divided court. I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Even among the majority, we had differences in why we voted for the defense. And so, you're starting to see these ideologies start to form. I'm in a more conservative court, Tiberius, I'd say. Das is sort of, and I think
The
the rest
swing vote.
of the other three, yeah, Das is sort of a swing vote, but the other two, Sean Box and
Arch.
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 I'd say they're also sort of on the fence, but leaning slightly more of a liberal interpretation of what the role of the court should be. So frankly, for me, I like this balance that we've attained, and I think
I feel
that
like it's too conservative of a balance, but I do like the balance.
So the problem is, I don't have this is the first I've heard of, any ways the judges are deliberating. I've seen they're questioning, but that's about it because we don't know who even writes the opinions. It's obviously a collaborative effort. Not seeing all the deliberation means we don't.
if you look at the opinions, it actually shows you who wrote it.
Oh, it does. My bad.
But you're right. But
all this. I think I've got a pretty good handle on the court.
Oh, by the way, it does say that we do use approval rating.
Features, yeah.
Yeah, it's number 3 in Article 1, Section 1. Sorry.
Did you use approval rating though?
First time, I'm gonna be honest. Yes and no. We use ticket approval rating, which basically means, hey, we like this guy to be speaker and this guy to be vice speaker. Let's all agree. We just all agreed because we had zero structure whatsoever. No one knew what's going on. So that's why the first thing we did was write the procedures, and that's why it's been slog ever since. I don't know. I feel like we still have problems with the procedures and how slow it is, but not to the point where people take it now. Had the second session gone differently, not gonna lie. Had we done everything properly, and all the legislators being inactive for most of it, and then we just rushed the ending. I felt like it probably would have more support than it does now. I'm gonna be honest.
Just sort of an open session type deal where you don't call sessions to order, you just sort of vote and discuss bills as they come, and bills follow a procedure itself and then a time period thing, but not necessarily that the legislature does.
I prefer to vote on bills individually.
I mean, there's a reason why we passed the Emergency Sessions Act. It was because early criticism of the procedures was that it was too slow. So that's why we put emergency sessions, which is basically if people want it, we're gonna have it. But yeah, the time thing was Charlie's idea, because my idea was we all get into a room and we just discuss all the bills at once, and we all vote them at once we're done. But Charlie says, no, that's not gonna work. Let's just put time limits on everything to let everyone do as they please.
That idea.
It's a good idea, but time zones would just kill it, and 20 people to a legislature.
Yeah, this. Remember, this was the time when we had our population of 12. Now we have 20. I think that system will probably break down at 20.
Have 20 yet, but
yeah.
So I mean, that's a good idea. That what Charlie had. This is something. What Charlie's proposed is something that we've.
Yeah.
I don't know. Recently I had the idea of why do we even need voting periods and discussion periods? Why not just put the bills themselves on a cycle? Just have to just be aware of, and I don't know.
The thing the legislative procedures was a morphing of my ideas and Charlie's ideas, siding with Charlie's ideas. Hey, Revis. We were just talking about legislative procedures. Anyway, it was this morphed version of it where we still called sessions and stuff like that, but we had time for people to discuss all the bills, and we all vote at once, so we, instead of bills trickling down to the ministry, just sent out a chunk of them at once. And that will screw, and the continuous session idea might screw with might screw with the Government Scheduling Act, which mandates a session a week from ministry and legislator. So I don't know how would that work. But whatever.
Revis.
Oh, I was left. Alright.
But instead of having live sessions and getting 20 people in all different times as doing that, still, wouldn't it be better to just do committees, have 5 people in each, and have just them talk and maybe them have a live session instead?
Still don't like the idea of splitting up the leg.
It's good, but like everyone has opinions on everything.
Yeah. I just...
And could you be on multiple committees, and then it's just like this whole massive like.
It's overcomplicating a system that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. That's the way I see it. I don't know.
There's a lot of ways to do it, and it's important that the legislature picks a way that best fits them. The biggest issue we've always had in the past is giving bills the proper attention that they need. Because a lot of times you'll get a bill on the table that looks pretty good, but hasn't been looked over with a fine-toothed comb to work out the various minor things that might go wrong with it. And the minor things have always been the things that bite us in the ass down the road. So it's a matter of making sure that each bill has the proper time discussed. As a legislator, I'd have my ideas, but I'm not. So
Wait, didn't you run for legislator?
I used to.
Justice?
No, I didn't run at all for anything initially, because I was expecting to simply do the economic thing.
Oh.
But
you became a justice.
The ministry just asked me if I would become a justice. I think several of them were like, "Hey, you should run for it," and so I did, and they picked me nicely, which is really great. And so far, I've really enjoyed my time on the court. In the back of my mind was wanting to be on the triumvirate. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case as of now, but I recognize that we've made it a system that is supposed to be fair, and in that sense, it should be an appointed position. And if they don't feel that I'm, good for the position because for whatever reasons and because of my role on the court and whatever, then I completely accept whatever their decision is. I'd still obviously like to help out with the economy where I can. I just wouldn't have any sort of voting power within it.
No. I think you're misunderstanding Charlie's idea. His idea was that what we have in the session now, where he wanted guaranteed times for bills to be voted on, like to be discussed, like saying, "Hey, you don't have minimum times because the clause all bills must be discussed in some capacity" was supposed to be the guarantee that no bill gets left behind. But Charlie wanted a minimum time for discussion of the bill, so that's where the 24-hour thing came from and all that stuff. Personally, I want to reformat the procedures, personally, but whatever.
I agree with the format. The proposal I was saying was just initially, but not necessarily like it's just sort of in the like early stages of an idea, is that instead of doing like legislative sessions where once a week you call the session to order, you close the discussion period, you open the voting period, and people vote on the thread, stuff like that, you instead just have a running session, and then you can call stuff to a recess you can, but you just have a running session, and then the bills themselves have statuses. The bill was proposed. Now the bill was discussed. Now the bill was voted on. The legislature never goes out of session, but the bill is like sent then through this like sort
the
of
system
process. Yeah, the bills themselves, not necessarily the legislature. And that way you just have a sort of more flexible way of doing it. I don't know. It's just it's sort of a variation on kind of the same thing that seems to be maybe a little bit, at least from my perspective. I'm not 100% sure how it would look in practice, though.
For the demo games that I have taken part in, we have just had 24-hour votes, or just a majority, and they never passed. We haven't had debate periods, voting periods separately, and so on. Just 24 hours, debated, vote on it on the same time, and it passes or fails.
If a bill gets a majority of the leg total, then it instantly passes. Like, that was a clause we added to the voting period that made it work.
Yeah, but in the other games, there's no formal debate period. You just submit it, you vote on it right away, or you can debate it while you are writing the bill. But there's no 24 hours or even 6 hours to debate it first. You just vote, debate, and all at the same time to save time and be efficient.
Passed. The issue with that, though, and maybe that's not necessarily an issue to some people, but for at least myself, I find it an issue that what'll happen is a bill will come to the table. You'll have just like 24-hour discussion plus voting period, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody will actually discuss it. They'll just vote, and that's it. And I think that's an issue.
What basically happened? Let's be honest.
Yeah. That's like a big issue in my opinion. Bills need attention. They need attention. Because if people are encouraged to not discuss it, instead just voting on it, what happens is legislators get lazy and they just look at like sort of the title of the bill, skim through it, and they're like, this looks good, and then they'll vote yes on it. Or they'll vote on party line rather than actually
they'll see how the first person from their party voted.
Or they mirror an influential legislator in the party. That's what sometimes happens.
It's just a system that's constantly been an issue throughout the entirety of Democraciv. This isn't unique to this legislature. So I guess don't worry about that.
Yo, Revis.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
You're breathing heavy in your mouth.
Lo siento.
In your mouth.
Wow. Okay, we talked about the elections. We talked about legislator, how it sucks.
We talked about the Supreme Court, and we talked about. We haven't talked about the proposed bills that are being voted on right now.
Oh crap! No, we haven't. I still haven't voted, and I'm the one who puts up the threat. Oh crap!
Yeah. I've done my civic duty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that fourth legislative session. I almost forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I'm the one who put up the voting. Oh, I like Charlie's vote of Oh wait, you actually said A to something. Okay.
Nay, 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 A, nay, A, nay to everything else.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you like that format? For like how instead of like a list, we just put it in categories and stuff like that. You like that format?
Yeah, we need bill numbers so we know what is voted on and what bill is referred to, and not all these acronyms.
I like acronyms.
Bill numbers. Acronyms are fine, but bill numbers are better.
But acronyms can be fun.
You can have both, because, like, we've got Riga, we've got Real, we've got Rafa, we've got all these.
Wait. We got Ale, GPS.
We got the CSA, we got MPA, we got the SPA.
I mean, there's just so many.
SPA should have been cunt.
But okay, I was gonna let cunts pass, but the thing was,
some people got mad about it.
No. If people got mad over it, probably would have passed it anyway. But
No, people got mad. They're like, we shouldn't do that.
No, the thing was, you couldn't type the acronym into the chat.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
That's a
add
big
the dots. The dots are part of the name.
aw. I think, like, I don't know.
You ruined my one dream for Mk4.
I am sorry. I am sorry.
And I think that should have been the mods issue, that we couldn't type it. Like, what the hell? You're censoring our words.
Alright.
I was opposed to the name from the start.
Yeah, because you're pussy.
Heard if you kept that name.
Yo, that's another good name for a bill. Somebody get on that.
Pussy, you have to force it too much. Because what the hell do you use a Y in?
The Russian word for legislation.
What?
Do
But
you
we're
guys
not
think
Russia.
of
No. We find Russia, and when they start taking us over, we pass a thing to concede the game. And it's called pussy.
So, what do you think of this idea? And this is another idea I've been thinking of a little bit. What do you guys think of consolidating the bills into like sort of a master document that's a little organized as to like the kind of
Oh,
bill
yeah.
type?
Oh, actual law book. That, law
We need
book?
a sheet of paper that says all the bills.
that actually would be
Bylaws.
useful.
I don't know how. I don't know how you can't just put some hyperlinks on a Google Doc like we do.
Well, should we, I proposed
should
this in my bill, like establishing the judicial clerk system, so that would be easier. Should we, like, add, like, a legislative, like, secretary position or something?
It doesn't need a secretary. You just gotta put it on a Google Doc.
Well, clearly nobody's been able to do that for about...
Yeah, Mr. Speaker,
Should-
what the hell?
Shut up.
There
Okay.
needs to be a way of classifying bills at least, so that even on the Google Doc you have different categories of bills, and you can go look at like
I mean, that's
category
it's
you're
pretty
interested in.
straightforward.
Well,
You don't need
case
like
number. Not case number, bill number.
again. I don't. This doesn't affect anything.
RB's list of laws, but like
No
No, I don't,
one wants
like-
to use DGWiki. That's just something we've been forced to use.
Yeah, but it's
you know,
good.
at least there should be somewhere in the sidebar that's just like list of laws or list.
We had
of,
that
like,
for every other mark. I don't know why we don't have it now.
Yeah, I don't mind ZGWiki. I think it's alright.
Alright,
It doesn't even include an article on the best Supreme Commander, and that's just not good enough.
Well, you can make it yourself then.
Yeah.
You know how much work that is?
Well, this is why we should hire a secretary.
This is why I have a clerk, my guy. No.
Wait, you actually have a
I don't
clerk?
know what. I would totally use a clerk once House gets his clerk thing going, but he hasn't done
Okay.
that.
Remember that was
I put a
supposed to
clerk.
be a thing.
I would.
That's
pay
in my
for a
bill.
Secretary. I don't like your bill. I don't even know what bill we're talking about. I don't like.
Why does nobody like my bill? I only.
I don't know what bill it is. I haven't really looked that up.
Nobody likes anyone's bill ever.
Freaking nail in the coffin for my bill is the whole court dislikes my bill.
Yeah, so don't use it.
Probably gonna.
It's-
What is that at right now? It's at. Let me see how many people are voting in favor of that.
I love when we decide to do that. We give like over cumbersome bureaucracy things to people who don't want them. That's my favorite.
We were thinking of an interesting use for a lower court, just in the conversation in the Supreme Court chat. We were thinking of doing like a sort of like Asian type court where like you can, if there's an issue, you can try to like go to that court and they'll help you sort it out between the different parties before it becomes like a
That might
legal
actually be
issue.
pretty nice, because
Wait, what'd you say? I zoned out. My bad.
a court where you just like sit down with the other guy and you work it out, and if you really can't work it out, then you go to the Supreme Court.
I don't know. I had this argument with
That's right.
Joe Parrish earlier in the podcast when we were actually discussing like my bill, and my reasoning for how it is and like why it isn't that sort of system or why it isn't like a U.S. Supreme Court kind of system is because like at the end of the day, we've appointed the Supreme Court justices because they're the most intellectual, they have the experience, they're the most thorough. We want them to see as many cases as possible, right?
Yeah.
So the way that my bill is set up is it gives them leeway to see as many cases as they want. and it also gives defendants, plaintiffs, and the lower courts leeway to determine whether or not that should be a supreme issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's why I voted for your bill.
Yeah.
You're at 3 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 abstaining right now, Revis. With
All right,
6.
so that's okay. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. There are really only 6 votes right now.
Yeah, there are only 6 votes.
Legislature.
But yeah.
Yeah, you guys are on backlog right now. It's gotta suck.
Yeah, by the way, the system we set up, I have to go searching for all the bills people have proposed, and we talked about, but we haven't, actually voted on. So that's fun. And then when I post the list, people complain that I missed the bill. I don't know.
We
Hashtag
should be voting
adopt.
in the Pantheon. I don't know why we aren't.
So what you do is you use this government document, right? And you say, in order for it to be part of the docket, you have to propose it in the chat. Once it's proposed in the chat, it's added by the cabinet to the docket. It says who proposed it and when. Then it goes into a discussion period if someone wants to discuss it. Once it's been discussed for 24 hours, then it can go to the voting period and people can cast their votes on it. Like, just simple like that. Like, requires work from the legislative cabinet, obviously. Not easy for the cabinet, but
I know.
But that's my point: is the legislative cabinet needs to take charge.
I know, but I know. I'm just being annoying for being annoying. That's all. It's the end of
job. You're doing a good job for the first time at having ever done it, and you're very receptive to people.
Retro, you're doing fine.
You're doing really good, man. Like, we've had terrible speakers in the past.
Like, how bad has speakers have gotten?
Oh, I mean, it's a blonde, but there was one term where he was speaker and he just didn't actually show up to any session.
That's because he was a general, right?
He literally didn't show up to a single session for an entire term and just had Minist proxy him the entire time, I believe, which was really fun. And then like he'd show up like from time to time, like as like a proxy for someone else. Like, it was just weird and it was really fun. Back then, the legislature was just an absolute clusterfuck. If you think that this was a clusterfuck, back then was a really bad clusterfuck. And we had 20 legislators too at the time too. So
that's gonna be fun.
Well, it'll regulate itself, right?
Let free hand of the market, guys. Natural selection.
More than ever, the cabinet has to take charge. Like, more than ever, if this is going to be an expanded legislature, the cabinet really has to put most of the burden on themselves to try and keep things in order.
I know. It's just
But you haven't tried to do that, by the way.
I've tried.
Don't get me wrong.
I've tried.
There's always been an issue with like sort of fatigue. Certain people will take the weight and then they just get burnt out after a while. So I think it's important to realize that certain people are going to have certain responsibilities, but we should also make sure that those people are like step down from those positions in a fair way and have someone be able to take their place if they need it, or if they need assistance, be able to take that. Because I hate it when people are just like, this should be what happens, and then everybody's just too lazy to do it,
I know.
That's why there's no legislative docket.
Yeah.
Issues with something, but it's much harder to actually take responsibility for those issues and work to actually kind of just do the busy work behind fixing a lot of the organizational issues.
I think Haldir has an idea of like doing like live sessions, like non-live sessions, like they did back in Mark III, because that's the system he was most familiar with, something like that. And String wants to revamp the system we currently have into like something different, like set like different timetables, stuff like that. He just wants to make the system we currently have faster, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like there are two competing ideas right now. No one has really proposed the idea of let's just say we're in session indefinitely and let's just vote on bills. I mean, that the free-form version will be a lot more easier to manage, but a lot harder to manage at the same time, because now I have to keep on, if I do become speaker, I have to keep on top of like bills and stuff like that, put them on the docket. And also, what's your opinion on the legislative reports? Did that help at all, or no?
Legislative reports?
Yeah. Yeah, like what I've been doing like the first three times.
What medium?
Like on the Reddit.
It's been pretty helpful. I'd say it's a nice it's nice to have. Definitely. I feel like that is not entirely necessarily like
end all be all, but like, what's your opinion on it? How could it be improved?
That it could be improved by having a dedicated journalist like who cares about legislative issues. Like we saw My Name Isn't Material cares about the economy a lot. It'd be cool to have a journalist who's actually just gives really in-depth like coverage of what the legislature's doing. Instead of like just a random post that gets lost in a bunch of posts on Reddit.
Well, I think that's also something that could go into public outreach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely public outreach can deal with that as well. But I think in general, like cohesive legislative docket, like the government records would provide. It's just much more efficient for both legislators and the public to follow along with. Another issue is just legislators not knowing what the hell is going on.
I mean, sometimes I don't even know what the hell is going on, but that's very rare. And that, like, there's moments in this game where I walked away for like a day or two, or even a few hours, just came back in and questioning what the hell just happened.
Yeah, I was gone.
I walked in the other day.
Come back and we're impeaching DOS, and the session has collapsed, and then we voted for tradition and removed. And I just
last week I went on holiday for a day, and literally like a million things happened.
Yeah, things happen when you're gone.
But like it's always moving. It's actually very refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's nice to know like the people are really active. Things are always moving. Something's always new. But then again, sometimes you just get lost. And that was like the main reason why I made the public outreach gentry. I felt like that was a good example of how gentry could be used, is to organize this information and make it digestible for the public to understand.
No, that's
important.
Yeah, I felt like that was an important issue to tackle. Personally.
That's been always a huge issue here. Just not being able to translate what government's doing and what's going on with the Discord community, and being able to translate that to the
Reddit
community, who just kind of checks in from time to time.
How big is that community? Is there any way of gauging that? Because obviously there's like 3,000.
It's not
2.8K subscribers.
The 2,000, there's nowhere close to 2,000. There's maybe, if I had to guess, like 30 people who like kind of look around. But then if we have like a media bump, like if we get an article or something around election time, that can go up a lot.
When there's a media bump, we get like 5 or 6 new people in the Discord.
Joe Parrish, please.
Every time there's a media bump, we get like 30 people joins to the Discord, 10 people leave right away, 10 people join parties, 10 people become lurkers. It's usually what we kind of see.
Joe Parrish, now is the time for another Medium article that I can no longer read.
Why?
I'm reading them on incognito mode.
No, Does that actually let you read multiple articles? Like more articles than you should be?
Same with like the New York Times and stuff, or the Washington Post. Read it on incognito mode. The articles you want.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Okay, I would like to say that Espresso in the main server wanted to do a live election debate on Twitch after the game session tomorrow. Just so you're aware.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Ken Lane is gonna make an announcement after the session as well.
Yeah, I'll see if I can come.
What's this announcement?
He did not tell me. He just said he had an announcement.
Do we know what time it's going to go tomorrow? What time's the game session scheduled? 4 or 5?
5 EST.
Okay.
See.
I can make it.
I should be good.
Then we'd be doing the debate at like 5:36 EST.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's around 6, because we went about to 6 last time.
All right.
Well, we did start at 5:30 last time actually, because Bear was kind of late.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for the referendum to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably delayed it a little bit, but anyway. Okay. Should we count bills or should we talk about something else?
We could talk about bills. I have not read a lot of bills in this session because there's like 15 or some dumb shit.
I just
So
took everything.
if you guys want to influence my opinion,
Yeah. I'm doing the voting right now because what I basically did was dug through everything I knew had to do with legislator and find everything we didn't vote on and just put it on there.
That's how you do it.
Like, I went through the entire mess for like 2 hours straight last night. And you saw why I did the happiness because I was getting lazy. I didn't want to write the entire name.
and then I forced you to do all of the names.
Yeah. Which, thank you.
Did you ever add the links as well?
No.
Who wrote to Pima?
Liberals.
No one knows. I don't know. Ours was ale, right? I thought ours was ale.
No, Pima was basically the ministry can break laws if they're forced to.
It was ridiculous.
I don't know. I honestly
It basically
don't know.
gave them legislative
ale.
superiority.
Anyway.
Plenty of ridiculous bills are always trying to get passed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's someone who just doesn't understand exactly how that thing kind of works and how we operate under it. Sometimes.
Oh, that was the liberal proposal.
Sometimes they don't care.
It was a liberal proposal, yeah, that's why I put it on there.
Huh.
That should have been on last session.
I know,
Dude,
but we
fucking-
never...
you guys doing a quarter session and throwing out like 4 bills for a week was so bad and dumb. I don't know why you did that.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think it was for
Like,
time's purpose, though. Like
they
there
really,
was
yeah,
some-
they were trying to rush the vote a lot.
But there was also like a lot of inactivity. Like last week, there was a lot of inactivity.
It wasn't as bad as second session. Were you around for the second session?
Yeah, no, I was there. I've been here.
Okay. I argue the second session was the worst session of all of them.
This was the worst because you let Charlie.
I
You just let Charlie throw away half of the stuff and do his vote. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. That's like one of my regrets. I should have just stepped in and declared it invalid. I don't know. But he was putting up a point saying, look, no one's been talking, and we have till like Saturday. I was planning to do a lot more, like 5 or 6, like even more, if I actually put up the bill. But I wasn't at the computer at the time, and Charlie beats me to it. And it was like 12 o'clock at night, I didn't want to deal with it. So once again...
Well, wasn't Charlie trying to beat like a session?
He was trying to beat a session, but like, the thing is,
we technically
yeah,
completed
he was trying
the
to
session.
beat it. So he was trying to beat our session, the executive session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he succeeded in starting the vote. And then when the votes came through, he forced the proxy with string to close the vote. But Minerbug wanted to switch his vote, which would have made the session last a lot longer and go past the executive session, which was part of the issue with him stealing the proxy. They're doing the proxy thing without exact consent. Like, it would have meant the suggestion would have passed, which could have theoretically influenced ministers.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
Because we went a week without a social policy.
And we all failed. We all failed. It was
Liberty, all we all failed.
It's special, you know. We're all special in our ways. I felt third session was a lot better, to be honest. It wasn't like first session. First session.
It was still pretty inactive, though. I mean, there just wasn't as much at stake.
Yeah. The first session was the minute it was basically you telling me, look, son, I'm gonna play the game no matter what, and everyone was freaking out because they thought you were gonna play the game with them.
What the fuck do you mean?
Everyone freaked out, and like it got everyone involved. I'm congratulating you on that because it got everyone involved. But then the second session happened, and no one gave a shit. And then the third session happened, people started giving a shit because they got shit for it. And next thing you know, we actually got an actual competent legislator. And the fourth session, I think, is just a throwaway. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, this is just the backlog. Literally, this is the backlog.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah.
Backlog.
It's just a backlog of stuff we
Like, this is like 6 bills got vetoed, and then, like, there's like 10 bills that we never even talked about. And so now we're talking about them. Now we're talking about them. Go vote.
Not even. Like, oh my god. Like, the second session, there was like so much stuff we were supposed to do. Amendment Madness was supposed to be in the second session. Remember Amendment Madness? Where there was like 10 amendments trying to be real, but inside.
Oh yeah, because that didn't even get mentioned.
Yeah. Next session, we should probably do an amendment process. I'm not gonna lie, we should probably do an amendment process bill because that
amendment process seems very convoluted and very bad.
Well, technically, you only need 50% of a public referendum to get amendment to be in the Constitution.
That seems horrible.
Yes, like
because like 50%'s well and good, but like 50% now is like 70 people, maybe, give or take. So
it's people who vote.
Yeah, people who vote. But what Constitution has a public referendum, stuff like that. That's gonna be fun. I should probably write a bill about that. I mean, I remember that constitutional task force I had ruling in my idea. I had it before, like when I was first elected. I think that evolved into the POG, but I still think we should probably have like a lot
of
ways.
You evolved that into the POG?
No, well, the POG reveals public proposals and stuff like that, and gives their and like see if they're actually viable and stuff like that, and then proposes them.
It's the spiritual successor.
Yeah, it's the spiritual successor of the Constitutional Task Force. But I still feel like there should be like an amendment bill saying how an amendment could get passed, something like that.
Yeah. And
also tiebreakers. That should probably be in procedures.
Has anybody had any more ideas for gentries over like the past week?
Lower courts. Me and Tiberius worked on like electoral gentry, but then we realized why elections. We wanted mods to be involved and stuff like that, but then we started regretting why the electoral gentry entirely because it pretty much opened up the elections to be run by a partisan force. Even though we could be like bad. That will probably be like the worst thing possible. So we decided to ditch that idea. I think Canon's doing some good. I think the public gentry is doing a lot of good work right now. have you had any good ideas for gentry other than like lower courts and stuff like that?
No, lower courts was my main one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking. I was looking at other governments and being like, well, which of these apply, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously we can't really have like a foreign relations gentry because we're negotiated with AI. So the more I think about it, a lot of the gentries that I have ideas for, like maybe like a homeland security kind of thing, or like a
are way more RP than actual.
Yeah, they're way more RP than and they're not important right now.
Yeah.
They would only become important with the success of the economy.
There was a suggestion for a general staff to help the Supreme Commander with the planning battles.
I don't need any helping. I don't need any help. I don't want any help.
Also, Attorney General.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Attorney General was talked about making a gentry, which I'm fine with, to be honest. There's Attorney... Yeah. Yeah, we have the Attorney General. No. City Planning Gentry. How will that work?
City Planning Gentry, but we passed the City Standards Act and... City Standards Act.
Well, that got vetoed by the ministry, so now we need to,
We're gonna override that, yeah. That veto.
Go ahead and try that.
Yeah, I mean... okay, what's your opinion on gentries in general, and are they a good idea?
Necessary. I don't know why they called them gentries. That just
originally I was going to call them... the original name was commissions, but because this was during the... Celestials were the largest party because they had some Chinese folklore in them. Craze. I decided to call them gentries because scholar gentries were helping the actual government with administration work, which was the point of the gentries to begin with. So I just called them gentries. That's basically the reason.
For RP.
Also, I plan... Oh, sorry.
I was just supporting the RP.
Yeah, it's more RP reasons than functionality. Originally I had ideas of making 5 gentries at the start, but I just made the 2 show examples and stuff like that. Public outreach I felt was really important, and Arch had that FBI idea, so I made that into he made that into gentry. So yeah. Do you think the FBI will actually the GI will actually get into stuff or no? Or we could call it the KIG, Chinese Investigation Gentry, or the CGI. Okay, so that changes it. Never mind. Is there anything else we could talk about?
Yeah, is there anything...
Talk about religion. I'm always up for talking about my religious bill.
Oh yeah, your religion bill.
Yeah, Revis and Joe
Rafa
and me talked about it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, is there anything we need to talk on stream? Because we have been going on for 4 hours now.
Yeah. Do we? Question mark? No, we already talked about a lot of stuff. And no one seems to be joining on, so...
I mean, is anyone opposed to the religion bill, really?
Not really,
Yeah,
but...
The churches bill? I don't like the idea of having churches. I don't remember the systems.
We've renamed it, we've rebranded it, we've written a new bill. The religious authority.
I'm not really... Yeah, let me refresh this page.
The way I see it, and this is something that we talked about, Jonason chat between me, you, Charlie, and whatnot. But I think it's a cool idea. It needs some work, and I think much like the economy bill had a lot of scrutiny, something like this should also have a lot of scrutiny. Because it's sort of delegating an in-game authority to an independent body of sorts, democratizing certain in-game elements.
Yeah, that is true.
In a way that's not just like a straight referendum. And so it's important to look at it, but I really think it's a good idea, because the more structures that you build, I mean, maybe not, you don't want like tons of structures, but if there are structures in place that allow for people to sort of about something, like you have all this like dynamics inside like a church, for instance. If you have anybody who can join it, you'd start developing all these factions within the church that wouldn't have existed otherwise with just a regular referendum, right?
That's why I want the church. I feel like it's purposes.
I like the cool idea.
Sure.
I'm not that opinionated in the church, to be honest.
But then there you go. That's fine. Then you don't have to join the church, but you could have other people, because clearly if you're not opinionated about the church, then you really don't care a whole lot about religion.
Don't care about the church making decisions about the church.
Could you link the church bill, please?
Oh, yeah, I got it. Also, I just realized that there's a bill to increase the percentage from 15% to 20%. And if it passes, we're looking at 27 legislators.
Voted against that.
I voted against that. No. Just no. It's no. Okay, let me look up Rafa.
But you could have 20% if the seats is less than 20.
Yeah, but
if 20% of the population is in the legislature, that's like kind of a lot. I mean, I know that you want good representation, right?
Yeah.
Which is important. That you are able to approximate the represent the entire body of people that we have here, but just say 1/5 of the entire body is the legislature, then you have so many positions to fill, which has been an issue and a little bit die down.
Yeah. I mean, 27 legislators. I'm not sure if all the lists combined has like that many seats for legislator.
I think we are exactly 27 candidates for this election.
20. Oh my god! Like
that's also there. Right
Everyone,
there. Now you don't have competitive seats.
Yeah, that means everyone gets a seat, and that destroys.
No, it doesn't, because we do have the system where, like, if you win more seats than you have candidates for, you can appoint more candidates. You have like 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Even then, it's like.
But it's still, that's too many.
Have competitive.
If anything, it should be
I'm
capped at 20. Like over 20 is ridiculous.
We can propose a bill next session.
Yeah, next session you can propose it. Anyway, just go and put in audience. There's the Religious Freedom Act.
Yeah, so that it's cool that religion itself isn't like it definitely impacts the game like to a big degree, but it's not like a victory condition or anything. I think that's cool that people could eventually make those decisions like in sort of a way that the legislature doesn't have to like either put that to a referendum, because referendums really are kind of boring if you think about it. It's good, they're good because they allow people to their opinion and affect the game with their vote. I completely agree with that, but they're boring. They don't offer a whole lot. The whole liberty versus tradition argument really boiled down. It was exciting in the fact that you had these parties that were against each other, and you had this sort of fight for it. But in the end, it was really just like. In the end, it really just came down to
that was part of the fight. That was part of the fight for it. we put it to a referendum because we thought a referendum
Yeah.
was best for us.
That was an interesting way to
get
do
the
it.
result.
But it's also like for someone who is on the outside and might particularly care a lot about inner liberty, it's like putting it to a simple majority vote really just dumbs it down. Dumbs down the whole.
Another part of that was we had to win the ministry, and it was really two very pro-liberty, two very pro-tradition, and Bear in the middle, who really likes the people's voice. So if you win a referendum, you kind of get his vote.
Well, it wasn't the people's vote. If all the
Because you decided not to vote. I don't.
My right to vote was restricted.
That was a bad tactical decision. Anyway. You have no one but yourself to blame.
I stand by it.
I applaud you for standing by it, obviously.
Yeah.
Because like you're sticking up, but you can't then complain that you didn't get to vote.
I would have voted in it if the court had ruled that it was constitutional and there would have been a stay in it. I thought it was illegal. I still do.
Well, it hadn't been deemed illegal. It wasn't deemed illegal. So...
Wait, didn't the court say that was perfectly fine to do?
It was perfect, yeah.
After the referendum had closed, so...
Yeah, but your opinion on the matter, it doesn't change the legality or not. If you believe something's illegal, that doesn't mean it's now illegal.
I'll bring that up with Jim Parrish, because that was one of his central arguments in v. Ministry, was that Espresso had voiced support for a procedure that was not yet passed, therefore by that procedure.
Well, we never passed it because it wasn't something we could pass. It wasn't about an in-game procedure. But he had agreed explicitly to this thing that said explicitly, as soon as we get these 3/5, we'll be fine with this. Like, he did agree to that. I don't think that changes the fact if it's violating his right to vote or not. But
it's an issue of sort of there's no very clear like rule on it, and so a lot of times you just kind of have to default to majority rule in that case, which a lot of this case I think revolved around. At least the plaintiff's side was very much about like an issue with the morality behind the majoritarian type rule. Does seem unfair, right? And even in our opinion, when we side with the defense, the intention is to express our felt it was unfair, but that it was also legal. It's a matter of legality rather than like fairness. Obviously, tyranny of the majority is a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's also the default, and if you don't institute procedures to counteract tyranny of the majority, then tyranny of the majority is just going to rule, right? Which is what happened in this case.
Did Jonathan leave?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's how Espresso v. the Ministry already ended?
Voted on it. But we haven't released an opinion yet.
Oh, so it ruled that it was legal, but immoral, basically.
Well, that it was legal, that we think it was kind of, unfair that he wasn't able to, at least, like, get in on the discussion, that there should have been more discussion around it, but that, regardless, it was perfectly legal for that to occur. That was at least part of my decision, was the fact that I can speak to my decision. I don't want to reveal too much about our central arguments, but essentially my opinion was kind of based on the fact that RB versus China didn't apply because Espresso was still able to cast his vote and it was still counted towards the total. So it was reflected as a 3-2 vote, not a 3 out of 3 vote, with the voting having been closed or anything. And second, that there was no sort of procedural rule in place that would prevent the ministry from doing something like this.
Well, really, what I'm hearing from this is the ministry needs to write procedure.
The problem is we can't write procedure for that stuff. We can write stuff for in-game things like we have, but we can't write procedure for
Doesn't the Constitution
voting
say
on procedures.
conduct?
Only in-game procedures, not out-game procedures.
So it does have to. It would have to be a legislative bill if we want.
Yeah, the ministry has to propose.
Like,
The ministry has to figure it out, send it to us, and we just unanimously agree because it's the ministry.
but if you guys want, I'll vote.
Hypothetically, the ministry could pass procedures for themselves because they get to decide what they do, right? So, like, if they all agree, like, there's nothing stopping them from saying, we agree to...
Well, in that case, we agreed to that first procedure. Like, we all agreed to that. It wasn't an official executive procedure because, it doesn't fit into that system. But then it's also not really binding, so it doesn't matter. We can break it if we want to.
In the legislature, and we can work on it.
Yeah. Like, you passed our procedures because technically we can't make our own procedures because we need your approval for any proposals we make. So, yeah. We could do a mutual thing. Well, we pass your procedures, so you pass our procedures.
No, just give us something, and I'll propose it, and we'll vote on it, and it'll pass.
The executive and the legislative branches can't just simply adopt their own procedures and have them be binding, but not necessarily be law. Like, you can have laws passed. I don't know. That's just a weird oversight on this.
It has to be a constitutional amendment.
It seems weird to me. Be able, like, the ministry shouldn't have any say over, like, how the legislature conducts itself, and the legislature shouldn't have any say over how the ministry conducts itself, except with matters related to, like, policy, like in-game stuff that affects everyone rather than just the ministry. Like, the legislature shouldn't have any say over, like, how does the ministry conduct voting out of game sessions or in-game sessions, really. Like, it seems weird that they should be able to do that.
I mean, they shouldn't in theory, and they can just give them the power to do that, I guess. But I think they should. I think they should. I think they should just say, "Hey, ministry, you can adopt procedures for yourselves in whatever manner you deem fit." Considering the circumstances, they could also pass a law that says you can do however, whatever you want, but it has to be reasonable time for discussion for out-of-game votes that you may take. Votes or whatever. Define all those terms. Being a thing.
Did you read String's post earlier on the main server about the referendum and his thought about it?
Was it the talent? No, they have. Where is it?
I think it's in the Citizen channel, because he made the argument that he didn't like the referendum because it was the executive taking the decision into their own hands instead of leaving it to the legislators. It should, because
so in theory, yeah, but the legislators don't have that power. It is the executive's power
to make referendums.
Executive powers until we pass a bill saying they can't.
Yeah, that's
this was covered in Jonesian versus the ministry piece, right? They do have
they have the power to do what they want with in-game stuff, but once it gets out-game, that's when they have to go through legislator.
His argument was, though, that if the executive takes this power and is allowed to do it, and the legislature doesn't disapprove, then power will over the long term will be de facto transferred to the executive, and the legislator will do less and less stuff, and the executive will do it instead because of the efficiency.
Cough, Social Policy Act, cough.
That's not what the ruling says. It says that in the absence of law, right? It never says the legislature can't do it. It never says the legislature can't say, hey, we're holding a referendum that the ministry has to abide by. Like, they just didn't, right? Like, the legislature had a recommendation. They tried to pass a second law that, like, told them how to pick the social policy, but it tied, right?
Yeah.
Like they just didn't have a law in place that the ministry had to abide by, and in the absence of law, the ministry does what it does, right?
I actually have to go at this point. Sorry about that.
Sorry too.
I'm a firm proponent of that theory that the executive started the game too early.
Oh, we can.
But then
give you a 1 week of vote term.
There's no procedure in place, no legislative laws. That's what leads to this.
There's also no clear way in the Constitution that the ministry is elected. Technically, we know that the legislature is elected, but it doesn't say anywhere that the ministry is.
We don't question that part, okay?
Legislature.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that part.
We don't need more cases.
Maybe we should.
Listen, Masenko, I don't know if you're trying to like ruin our country here or something.
Ruin anything. I'm just saying what the Constitution says. It's what I was just appointed for, right?
What it doesn't say, but we all know it does say it in the secret section. The section we all abide by.
Section that also, like, lays out the rules, like not being a dick and all that.
Yeah, it's that part.
I mean, I know there's like a general consensus that the ministry.
It's the section which grants supreme powers to
That's
the
the law saying the ministry is appointed by the legislature. And hold on a second, I've got a proposal idea. I'll just be ready.
Okay.
Elected. Saying that Constitution gives a whole lot of power to the legislature to determine those kinds of things.
The legislature should pass a bill saying the executive is appointed by the legislature.
I don't want that system. We thought about that system a lot. We thought it didn't work.
I mean, I think the executive should be more accountable to the legislative, but I think it's more gameplay to actually have elections.
The legislator has to make the executive accountable to it. They can't force it upon them. If they make it reasonable, the executive will agree to it. If it's unreasonable or poorly executed, they won't agree.
But they can just overrule you.
Exactly. They can still force it.
This new theory Bear has where he just vetoes everything the legislature passes because...
He vetoes bills that he doesn't think are necessary or any good. I don't see what's wrong with that. He doesn't want extra bloat.
But, like, his standard for what is necessary is very, very low. Like, very, very, very high. I mean...
So what? That's... Like... If you don't like that, don't vote for him. I don't think you're to vote for him anyways, but...
No, I'm just... This is me campaigning. It's me telling people not to vote for Bear.
You should vote for me because I'm going to avenge Scouty. Big time.
Scouty, so...
There was a massive military mishap. But you guys don't even want to kill the barbarians, so...
And you're conquering their homeland.
They're trying to attack us. They fought us first.
Right.
They engaged the forest battle. That was them.
As a representative of the war party, I think we should redefine...
They killed Scouty. Do you think they're just peaceful little people killing Scouty? Scouty didn't do anything to them.
No, Scouty went to their homeland. He, like, violated their sovereign rights. And then they rightfully killed them. You're utilizing an army without the legislature's consent to march on...
Single scout walking around, right? Just walking around. And then all of a sudden, mobs of barbarians are just attacking him. He has to run away, and he gets overwhelmed and sacrifices himself.
Just sent troops in. Just sent a scout in wandering around. Without open borders or anything. You'd be mad. They just violated your borders.
Hashtag Team Barbarian.
Barbarians don't...
With that, I'm out.
Yeah. You see, I'm bringing back the RB, you like our barbarian thing.
I think we need to redefine barbarians as all other civilizations, and then we need to go to war with the barbarians. Barbarians are bad. Everyone are barbarians.
Oh, you're displaying your agriculture-centric viewpoint there, RB. You need to check yourself.
What the fuck do you mean check yourself? He's just saying what he wants.
Arian, you think barbarians are pretty good.
I do?
I think barbarians are the scourge of the earth.
Exactly.
Here, guys.
They're senseless murderers. They're cannibals.
Genociding an entire group of people.
We're not genociding them. It's like a couple thousand dudes sitting around with their big ass sticks, raping women, taking over villages. It's horrible. I don't want to get into the specifics, of course.
Nomadic natives who just haven't settled down and adopted agriculture. And then suddenly
they're uncivilized. They attack our people. Why shouldn't we attack them back?
They attack us because we violate our territory. Their territory. You know, barbarians are just harmless nomads. And you know what else we do? We loot their ancient cities.
No.
For what?
We visit them, and they, graciously give up gifts. They give us gifts. They're like, hey, look, here's a bow. You like this?
Yeah, we're just
Look,
tourists.
Tell us about the bow. Oh, hey, how you doing? Here's some gold. Thanks to meeting you. We don't kill them at all. Sometimes we invite them into our own tribe. We never force them to do that.
When you build a...
Sometimes we study their culture or faith, and we heighten our own understanding.
We never on those ancient 500 years, 5,000 years or whatever. It always says, beads, plundered by China or whatever.
No. That's battle. That's not what Romans do.
You know what? We're plundering the barbarians. We're looting. They're not even barbarians. They're just nomads. They just want to live their life.
They aren't nomads. They literally murder us. They murdered Scouty. You're trying to defend the barbarians.
You declared war on the barbarians without the legislature's consent.
Well, that doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want because they haven't.
Well, this will make for some excellent propaganda.
I haven't passed the law saying you can't declare war without legislature's
IFP, the pro-barbarian party. For real this time.
The more you say something, the more it becomes true.
Yeah, and the less votes you will get.
You gave that to us, but now we're reclaiming that title of pro-barbarian.
Yeah, please,
Next thing you know,
You guys weren't even called pro-barbarian at first. That was us.
Yeah, he called the liberals pro-barbarian.
Yeah, but you're the real
More like-
pro-barbarians.
He can already be anything. Everyone's pro-barbarian except for his party. So.
Yeah, but it's a difference between a diehard pro-barbarian and a moderate pro-barbarian.
Yeah, moderate pro-barbarians like leave them alone. Die Hard is like they're not even harmful. Look, they just murdered a couple of our people.
But we're still their best friends forever.
Of course they murder us now, and of course we have to fight back now. We're at war with them.
Yeah.
We go to war with them.
You're gonna switch up now, even though you're
Yeah.
still trying to stop me from going off and reclaiming a body of a national hero we all praise. We teach them about him in our history books.
Scout Day. You know, I will protest that.
I'm the founder of the Scouty McScout Face Remembrance Fund.
I will burn the Chinese flag at that memorial if you make him a national hero. He was a traitor.
You son of a bitch.
Death. He didn't know what he was getting into. He was a pawn in your machinations, Wes.
Okay, you've made a large mistake.
I think we need to end the podcast here before it goes to war. Yeah, it's over. Thanks everyone. Like that, and now I can safely say, it's the end. Thanks for watching.